Okay, so we are going to start our new topic, which is friction. Okay, and I'm sure we know the word friction. Like, the friction is a force, there's a frictional force, and the like I could explain you first with the example. Okay, so if we are just walking on the ground, our feet is producing a force, and the surface we are walking is producing a force. The surface which is like having the force, that is frictional force, which is like leading us to go back, and our feet moves forward. That's why we are able to move. Okay, so friction is like a frictional force. Like, friction simply is like uh, um, yes, we can call friction as a force which stop or hold us behind. And when we are just walking, there's a force which is holding our feet or like letting our feet to move down. And whereas one force is attracting us back, that force is frictional force. Then we are able to move, and through that we from surface to our feet, like there is 180 angle. If we are moving up one step furthermore, like we are moving one step. Okay, and there's a friction force at the back of our feet. Okay, so this means this is the straight line, and the straight line represent the 180 angle. So we can say that there is 180 angle. This means the negative force has been applied, the frictional force has a negative, whereas our feet is able to move, that would be the positive. Okay, so I'm explaining the same example to you. Here is like a box, or here is the friction simply. Oh my god. This is F, sorry for that, friction, and we are moving on a surface. This is the surface, and this is not the straight surface. Like, if you look into the microscope and these all, we will find some of the curves on this structure. A little curves. Okay, so this is the structure, this is the friction, and on this one side we are pushing, or we just get a pushing force. Pushing force is there. Okay, and on this one side we are having a motion, the reaction of the motion we just get. Okay, so now this is the force, this is the friction force. Okay, and here is the surface. When we are able to move down, if you're moving first step here, there is a frictional force at the back side. When there's a frictional force from here to here, we had angle which is 180, and we know if we have the complete circle, and this one, the one quarter, like the half would be the 90. So not half, but the half, then half. Okay, and this, the complete one side which I'm just marking, coloring it, is like a half, and that is 180. As we know, complete angle is 360. So this is the straight line. This means there's a 180. This means the friction force is a negative. So we can just write, or we can just say that when a solid object, this would be of course a solid object, when the solid object moves, or it tried to move, or it like it's able to move, or we can also say like there's a force which refers to the force, and that is generated by the two forces. We can look into, we have the two forces, or like they're generated by two surfaces, or the two forces that contact, and they slide each other, or the against each other. Just because you can look, it's a positive, this a place, or the solid body, it's moving in this one direction, and this another force. This means these both forces are against each other. Okay, so here we have the body. I'm explaining in another way. Here is the force downward, which is the weight, or the mg. Weight is mg, which is perpendicular, and which is having gravitational. Of course, it's have a gravitational force. Whereas it would be getting r, which is reaction. That reaction would also be perpendicular, and which would be normal. Like, this is perpendicular, normal in what manner? Just because if the body is letting this to move, like it is pulling down, and there's a force which is taking up, still it's taking down, just because gravitation is very strong field, or the very strong force, it is taking it still down, and there's upper force. So now what will happen here would be the frictional force. Like, the one body is trying to move in the direction, and it's not letting, the second force is not letting it, just because these are opposing force which cancel each other.